Hey guys, today we're going to be reviewing the 1980s thriller franchise Angel. It's a series that began in 1984 and ran through 1994 and called it quits, at least to this point. You can never tell with remakes or reboots or sequel. You never know what's going to happen. It may be completely dormant, but most things in Hollywood, if there's a way to milk any bit of money out of a franchise, Hollywood will figure out a way to do it. So I'm not calling this series dead right now. I'm just calling it dormant. If you guys don't know what it is, has never heard of it, have forgotten about it, basically it tells the story of a 15-year-old named Molly. She's a very good student in high school, and she has a disastrous personal life, home life, and everything else, and she has to go on her own and survive. And in order to make ends meet and be on her own, she turns to hooking in the evening. She becomes a prostitute on the streets of California, and she meets a quirky group of friends and confidants and contacts and everything else. And that's her life. That's all she knows. Serial killer begins killing all the prostitutes that she knows, and she doesn't get much justice any other way, so she ends up with a gun and ends up tracking people down her own on the streets and trying to figure out what's going on with the help of her friends. It's a very cool franchise, very inventive franchise that's, again, started in '84, has 4 installments so far, and there's no bad one in a bunch. Some are better than others, but they all have good redeeming qualities about them. I'm going to rate them from worst to best, but again, one always has to be the worst. That's just the way it is. Doesn't mean that it's bad. It's far from it. And oddly, my least favorite, I'm going to have to go with Avenging Angel, which is Angel 2. What's weird about this film is that this was always by far my favorite one in the franchise when I was younger. I remember seeing the trailer very often. I remember watching this film constantly. It was on cable, or I was renting it or something. I don't remember exactly how I was seeing it so often, but this one I saw all the time. And I think over the years, it lost its charm for me because of the fact that it starts getting really goofy and playful and silly, very much so towards the second half. And I think that the mood that the original film established, dark, bleak, moody, atmospheric thriller, kind of dissipates in this one completely. Now, Betsy Russell plays Molly, the starring role in this film, and you guys may know her from your horror films. Will know her as Jill Tuck from Miss John Kramer herself from the Saw franchise. She was also in Cheerleader Camp, or Bloody Pom Poms, or whatever you want to call it. And she's just been very well known over the years. She's great in this film. There's nothing bad about her in this. I felt like the film didn't go anywhere. It was kind of a weak story. After the first one was so solidly written, this just didn't go anywhere. The problem is, the first Angel film never really made a huge splash with audiences, but it stayed just went under the radar, and it stayed on the top 10 of the box office for months. And I think it was either 9th or 10th, so it didn't really make a huge splash, but it stayed solid and returned quite a bit of money that the studio wanted to turn around and rush a sequel into production to keep that going. And Avenging Angel, that came out in '84, the original one. Avenging Angel came out, I think, 10 or 11 months after the original Angel in theaters. It came out in '85, and it looks rushed. It looks empty. It's cool that they brought Rory Calhoun, which most of you horror fans will know is Farmer Vincent from Motel Hell. He's a veteran Hollywood actor that was tons of westerns and tons of bit parts as well as starring roles. But he returns. He's fine. There's no problem with that. It's just the film was empty. It didn't go anywhere. So I did like it, but compared to the other ones, I just felt like it could have used more. But Avenging Angel is going to be my least favorite of the franchise, and it's still a good one. That came out in '85. 9 years later, the final one in the franchise to this point is Angel 4 Undercover. I'm going to make that my third favorite. This came out again in '94, and I do like how they kept the duality of the covers going, and the same theme going. This was interesting. The taglines there are very misleading, because she's neither an executive by day nor a hooker by night. What she is she is a police photographer. She has evolved into a police photographer, and one of her good friends is a groupie for a band, rock band, and she's killed under mysterious circumstances. And Molly goes undercover, to find out what happened. She goes undercover as a groupie of the band. Now, the low budget on this is extremely obvious. The sets look cheap, the filming looks cheap. Some of the acting is all over the place. Some of it's really solid and good. Some of it is horrendously bad. But I have a feeling that the chunk of the money went to Roddy McDowell, who's in this. Yes, he's in it, and he's not like a walk-on cameo. He's in it quite a bit. But this is a solid movie. This is an enjoyable one. Again, they're all fun films. This I felt actually had a little more. As cheesy it was, because it was very cheesy. This is probably the cheesiest out of all of them. But it got a little more serious again than Avenging Angel, and it kind of handled it pretty well. There was a lot more material to work with this. Although it was cheap, and it was definitely cheap, and it was you had to stretch your imagination quite a bit, but it was enjoyable, and that's what a movie should be, right? Enjoyable. So I think Angel 4 Undercover is also known as Undercover Angel, which I think a lot of marketing for that film was trying to draw attention away from the fact that it was the fourth in a franchise. Again, films, when they start moving along, they start dropping the number because they associate numbers with diminishing quality. The higher the number, the lower the quality. That's just a rule that Hollywood thinks is a thing. I know a lot of people share that because sequels, people think, oh, it's up to part 7, it must be terrible. That's not necessarily the case. But Undercover Angel, they were probably banking on the fact that it would be a standalone film if people never saw the other 3 or haven't heard of the other 3, because this came out quite a while after all the other ones, or at least all the interest in the other ones has waned. But this is a good one. I like this film, Angel 4 Undercover. My second favorite in the franchise, I'm going to have to go with Angel 3, The Final Chapter. This one came out in 1988. The problem with this one is the fact that I think it was never seen. Avenging Angel came out in 85, and I think at that point audiences were cooling down from the idea of this series as franchise or whatever it was going to be. They had enough after Avenging Angel, and everyone forgot about it. This came out, I don't believe had much fanfare, but it came out in 1988, and so 3 years after the last one. And this one stars Mitzi Capture, and if you guys remember who she was from TV's Silk Stockings, most known for that long-running, I think it was a USA show, awesome show. And Richard Roundtree is in it. Richard Roundtree, I mean, that guy's legendary. But this one treads heavily into Charles Bronson territory. It reminds me heavily of Kinjite, which oddly, I think this came out a year before Kinjite. But basically, Molly finds out that her sister was a prisoner in a underground human sex trafficking operation, and she was killed. So she goes to track down the people responsible. This would have been a fitting conclusion for the series. It comes full circle. It ends on a high note. I think what I really liked about Angel 3, especially after the disappointing Avenging Angel, they managed to capture the grittiness and the real feel of the original film. This was a very good film. I wish they kept the whole theme going with this one, but I guess they wanted to shake it up a little bit. But this is a very good film. It's good on its own anyway. Even if you don't see the other ones, you can understand what's going on. It's not a genius to follow these films. There's a lot to recommend about this film. I like this one. All action. It's kind of believable. It has a good ending. There's good action scenes. There's a lot of good performances in this. Maud Adams is in this as well. This is a good one. So you should check out the series. But Angel 3 is really good, and I think it just got overlooked over the years, unfortunately, because it's a good film. And if you guys know me, you know this is rare for me to say, but I'm going to actually go with the original Angel as my number 1. That's weird for me. For some reason I always like to, I always favor sequels or remakes over original films. But the original Angel is just a classic piece of cinema. It's ugly, it's dirty, it's grimy, it's gritty, and it works. It's very effective. There's very good performances here. Very good all across the board. This is a good film. There's good cast in it. There's very intelligent story. It's a sympathetic story. It's told well. It's executed well. And it has a real feel of 80s grunge films. If you are like me and you love those kind of films, this is right up your alley. And what's cool with the Angel franchise is, again, it doesn't seem to wane that much in quality. They're all very connected, except for Angel 4, which may seem a little different, but except for a few throwaway lines and the main character, who even seems different than the original. It seems like a standalone film, but it does also work as a sequel to the franchise. There is quality drop off, but it maintains a pretty solid feel throughout. And the worst one and the best one, there's not a huge difference in quality. Just one is definitely better. So yeah. So again, my favorite in the franchise is Angel, the first one, 1984. My second favorite is Angel 3, the final chapter, which was intended to be the final chapter. This was 1988. Wasn't the final chapter because my third one, Angel 4, came out in 1994. They tried one more shot to the Angel universe, and for the most part they succeeded with that one. It was pretty good. And then 1985, the second one, the follow-up to the original Angel, Avenging Angel, which very well may have been a good film on its own. I think what hurt this is the fact that they rushed it into production, and they rushed it into production while this amazing first film was probably still in the mind of people's, still in fresh in people's minds. They're thinking that they were going to get that, and they got this one. And there was a big difference in them, but it was still very respectable and good. But compared to the first one, it was just empty. It didn't really have much. So guys, I rambled on again. Thank you for listening to me. I hope that made sense. I like to try to be as quick and succinct as I can, but I try to explain my views on stuff. So hopefully you enjoyed this. We're going to try to explore some other cool series in the future. Thanks for tuning in, and spread the word. Please subscribe to my channel. It's free. You help me out, and I'll help you guys out by making more videos. And if you don't like them, don't subscribe. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.